being recorded.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I just started the recording now. I mean, anything in the beginning, I could just edit it out because I edit all my own stuff.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to the Player Pro Show. I'm your host, Player Pro, and we are going to be speaking today on a topic. The topic is, will the Black community survive modern times? All right. I have a panel full of guests. All right. If y'all would just go around and introduce yourself so everybody know who they're speaking to or who they're listening to.
I'm Candy.
Okay.
I'm Yolanda Kendrick, the Beyond Beautiful Living Specialist.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Florida Mike, and I'm proud to be on the show with this amazing panel.
All right. Well, like I said, the topic of the day is, will the Black community survive modern times? What do y'all think? I mean, we spoke on this topic. I ain't gonna say briefly. We actually spoke on it for quite a while yesterday on the telephone. So now is the time we can bring all of that conversation that we had yesterday over here, so we can get this type of information out to the public. So, there go Professor. Okay, there he is. All right, well, go ahead and introduce yourself.
This is Professor 1983 here with these fine ladies and gentlemen here tonight. Here to bless y'all podcast.
You would come in on some BS, but okay. But either way, like I said, will the Black community survive modern times? So what do y'all think? Anyone can start.
I feel like we would definitely survive the modern times. I feel we have to come together more and start a lot of our own Black businesses, and we work together and we shop Black.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more we come together, the less we need them. And we already at the stage now where a lot of the young people are entrepreneurs. So if we teach financial literacy to them, that'll be able to withstand the test of times. Because the more literate they are with their finances and they understand what community really is, the more we can build.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do agree with you. We do need our own establishments. We need our own banks, our own grocery stores, our own hospitals, our own schools where it's not integrated, where it's just us. And we do definitely need to do one of the main things we need to teach. One of the main curriculums definitely needs to be financial literacy, because that is one of the problems that is plaguing our community, where we do nothing but consume and we don't produce anything. We don't sell anything. We don't manufacture anything. We do nothing in this country. Majority of us do nothing in this country but consume, and that is definitely a problem that we need to rectify when it comes to the Black community.
I also feel within that school we got to teach culture, and we also got to teach our own history.
100%. And that's another thing I never understood. We are the only race of people that I know where our history is taught to us by other people. Doing Hispanic people, they teach themselves their own history. Doing white people, they teach themselves their own history. Doing Asian people, they teach their own history to their people. We are the only people that have our history on a large scale, have our history taught to us by other people. And I think we need to do something about that. And you're right, we definitely need to do that. Teach our own culture in these schools that you're talking about. Most definitely. All right. Anybody have anything else? Anybody have anything to say on the topic?
All right, this professor speaking. No, I don't believe we'll survive the modern times until we get together. We are too divided, too selfish, and not devoted.
I agree. I definitely agree. But anybody else? Mike, I know you got something profound to say. Okay, well, I'm quite sure he'll be back. He probably just lost connection. Yolanda, any words?
I think that we could, like I think if we did those things that Chris stated, and then what Candy stated, I believe that we have what we need. It's just that we don't come together and unify, and we don't believe in each other the way that we should. We should look at each other a little higher than what we do. I think we looking everywhere else, but everybody else is looking at us, and they taking from us, and we act like we're not like on the top. And it's like we have banks, we have different things, but we just won't support the way that we should, and we don't uplift the way that we should, and believe and support each other the way we should. We still dealing with complexions and financial statuses and competing in relationships, and we still dealing with so many minute things that doesn't matter, that we missing the whole point. Like, you know, we're divided in our own homes, we're competing with our spouses, like, you know, like we got to start getting that together first, you know, so we could survive. I feel like if our men were leading the way that they were leading, and our women were following the way that they should follow, and so we were supporting each other the way that we should, and everybody serving their proper roles.
Mm-hmm. That's where she's trying to get me riled up, because I was riled up earlier on this conversation. But yeah,
don't start.
Because when you think about community, that's common unity. So the more we come together, it is going to start within our homes. First off, we got to look for future generations to come. We can't just look at the right now. Everybody has the right now syndrome. It's not going to happen right now. It's a process. Everything in life is a process. So if we start planting the seeds now, it might take our great grandkids for it to manifest. But it's all about planting the seeds within where we at right now in this moment, and teaching culture, teaching the building, teaching the foundation of where we all belong and we all need to start. And like it says, we have to unify. And that's something that's going to have to be taught, and we're going to have to stop going to minute things. It's not man versus woman. It's how do we fix it? We need to stop talking about why we're here. We need to talk about what can we do to change it? What can we do to build? It's all about the mindset of where we're trying to take the things to. Because if we're bickering about it was caused because of this and it was caused because of that, we're never going to get nowhere. So we got to unify and understand the situation is, how do we fix it? How do we got here? That's already over with. We done did the back and forth men versus women. That's not fixing it. That's just division. So we got to learn how to unify. After we learn how to unify, then we can start moving on one accord. But the unify is going to have to come from the household, where they see that the parents are a unified front. Where they see the teachers, like right now, we don't have our own school code. We got to start where we at now. When the teachers and parents become on one accord, and when it comes to the discipline of these children, y'all know I work in the school system, but you got the teachers and parents bickering back and forth because everybody want to say what their student not doing, not knowing this is what your student doing if we allowed to record and show you. So once we learn how to unify on the adult level, everything else will fall into place.
Now, you did say one thing that I totally agree on. The seeds have to be planted today in order for it, because the cycle, it has to be broken. The cycle of degeneracy, the cycle of who was that? Oh, Chris fell out. Okay, a lot of these negative cycles that we've been constantly having going on. Okay, there you go, Chris. If we have to break those now in order for our great grandchildren or grandchildren or whomever to be able to prosper and go down a different path. Because if we don't break them, we just gonna be constantly going in a circle, continuing the same toxic cycles that we've been doing for the last X amount of years. So we definitely have to, yeah.
Oh, I want to go in. I want to go next. That's all.
Oh, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
To comment on what Candy was saying. For the last 2 years, Candy, my family is just like everyone's family. I saw a problem and I tried to make a solution. I try to do gatherings with my family. I just book them. I just hey, show up. Let's eat here. Let's do this. But for the last 2 years, I've been doing something called kick and slide. Jermaine came to my 2 years. He came to the first one actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I did a kick and slide where we play kickball and slide around the bases like baseball, but kickball. And the kids really loved it. I believe I have to go after the kids to win over the parents. Because when I grew up, and I'm pretty sure when y'all grew up, it's the same thing. We had those relationships with our cousins, but our kids, just in general speaking, don't have those same relationships. So I think we got to reach out to the kids. So I try to do kids events to pull back into the family, to bring together that community. That's what I've been trying to do.
Okay, a lot of people. Well, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay, doing a lot of. One thing I've always said too is that we need to start. Our people need to start going to these family reunions and things, especially if a lot of your family live in the same city. You have to start going to these family reunions because I've seen firsthand us not keeping up with who our family is on either side, and they end up getting together later on in life, not knowing who each other who they are. I've actually seen cousins that didn't know they were cousins actually have children and start a family, and it was a year or two later before the father said, "Hey, do you know that? Hey, that is your sister," because the father wasn't in his life at the time. But then they started getting back, on one accord, and he came back into his life, and he let him know that, "Hey, you know that's my daughter, right?" So they're doing that is your sister, but they were already married and had children. That's why family reunions and knowing both sides of the family is very important in our community. Mike, you haven't said anything. Come on, hop in there.
Hey, I'm just hearing a lot of great dialogue by amazing people. So the question is presented: will the Black community survive in modern times? I believe the answer it depends on the context you're talking about. If you're talking about a physical survival, yes, Black people have been here from the beginning. They're already written to be here till the end. So yeah, from a financial perspective, if we're talking about surviving modern times, I think they're going to be behind, but they'll get through. But they'll be behind. The gap, to me, financially is not closing. And I think the biggest challenge, and I'm going to ask the panel this question and the viewers watching, how do Black people right now in 2023 going into 2024 come together in an economic financial sense when they have to go to what we call demand to be able to make financial ends meet? Because as long as we're in their system, they are benefiting off of our labor. So do we take pieces of the pie, or do we go all in and come together economically as one unit? How do we do that for the people that have jobs and work-life balance?
I would say for right now, in this time, in this state that we're in this moment, we will still have to go to the white man and come together, because the fact of the matter is that we're not going to come together in a large mass of a scale that we need to start out with. So it's almost like we're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul. We'll have to get their money in the beginning, but we'll have to sign some type of contract, legal binding contract, where they can't come in and take our stuff. And then maneuver from there, pay them their money back, and then we'll flow within our own community. Just because where we at mentally, because the mindset is where everything began. So that will be the foundation and the start of it. But the thing is to pull away from them completely, and that's going to take time.
Now, I do believe you are correct about having to go to the man. One thing I believe that we do need, yes, we do need our own financial institutions to where we can provide financing to our own people that want to start things, that want to start up a business, that want to buy a house, that want to do certain things. We need to be able to provide this to our own people instead of having to go outside of our community to get these things. Because that's just like what I was saying before. We need our own banks, schools, hospitals, grocery stores. We need all of this stuff in order. If we want to survive without the help of outside people, we're gonna need all of these institutions on our own, and not depend on other people to provide us with financing. Because whoever provides the financing do have a level of control. And if we want to be able to do it on our own without any outside forces, we're gonna have to do it ourselves. And we can't say that we don't have the money. Like right now, we have I know we got well over $1 billion in spending power in the Black community. In the Black community, we spend more on holidays. We spend more money than any other race on the planet. We spend more money. But this is the
wealthiest that African Americans have ever been, though. This time is the wealthiest we've ever been. So money is not an excuse. It's the way that we disperse it in a way that we support each other. So it's like you said, going back to mindsets, because we money is not an issue.
You know, they say
it's about how we see each other and how we support each other. I'm sorry.
No, you good. They say that a dollar stays in our community no longer than like maybe an hour or so. But
it ain't even that, it's seconds.
Oh, it's seconds? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I know it's something like that. But in other communities, stay a lot longer. Because it seems like now when we have finances, we so quick to either live outside of our means or just blow it on things that don't mean anything. Because prime example, when I grew up in Georgia. So I see I used to live in Augusta, Georgia for almost 30 years. And when I see of our people, especially when they just say tax time, when tax time come around, they get $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 put in their pocket. Do you think that these people are going and putting that into a good cause, buying houses, cars, or whatever, spending the money on something that's beneficial? I don't see it. If they do, I really don't see it. But one thing I do see doing the nice clothes, the nice shoes, the jewelry, the weave, the Jordans,
nails,
all that. I see all of that. I even see guys walking with a whole new outfit on, blinged out, shoes, Jordans, and they walking, no car in sight, stand on their mama couch. I see this in our community. That's gonna have to change because we don't know, since we don't understand financial literacy. Even when we come into a large number of finances, we still don't know how to manage it properly. Like, look at our athletes when it comes to certain sports. Look at basketball, football. The majority of these sports, these big sports like that, are African Americans, and they make a lot of money. And without financial literacy, they run through a lot of money. They even had a show on television on how our people, well, I ain't gonna say our people, how athletes, because we ain't the only ones who do it. We probably do it a lot more. How they just run through money, how they become rich and then lose it all in a matter of years. So until, like Candace said earlier, financial literacy, we're gonna have to. When I tell you it's so important for us to understand finances, because if we don't, we are definitely not going to survive. We're definitely not going to survive if we don't know how to manage the money. Simple as that.
Yeah, and we got to be receptive for information that's given. I do go to a lot of events at Black Wall Street. They give free classes on financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And I have invited a lot of people. Nobody comes. Like, you're getting hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of free information. People won't show up. They teach you how to write resumes at the Black Wall Street. When I say the Black Wall Street is for our community, our race, people of color, and they done advertise. You will be surprised how dead those events be.
You know what's crazy?
If they're not giving anything for free, people don't really come.
You're right about that one. And you know what's crazy about that whole thing? Like those events that you're talking about, you're right. People are not going to show up. Are there anything educational that's going to teach them how to prosper and live a more fruitful life? They won't show up for that. But you know what they will show up for? A Beyonce concert. They'll show up for that and spend their whole their house note to go to see Beyonce and all of these other entertainers and so on and so on. They will definitely show up for that.
The Black Wall Street, they have classes where they teach you how to get your LLC. You can sit there right there with their personnel and get all type of business license without having to apply and go through all these other companies. They literally teaches you how to do that stuff. People don't come.
And then on top of that, even if they don't come to events, come out to events. Anything you want to learn nowadays, the internet is a wonderful thing. YouTube will teach you almost anything. There is nothing that I wanted to learn that I couldn't go to YouTube and look it up, or just go straight to Google. If you really wanted the information, it is right in the palm of your hand, right here, the palm of your hand. Information is right there. We would get on these phones and look up everything under the sun that's toxic. We'll get on social media and be on there scrolling all day long, looking up all this toxic stuff on TikTok all day long, looking up stuff that don't mean nothing. But the panels talking about something positive, those panels be dead. They're doing those channels be dead because we have black people that be on YouTube. That teaches all kind of financial stuff. They teach you how to get into real estate. They will teach you how to get into almost anything you want to learn. But people will not attend because they're doing and those panels. You can do that from your phone, from a computer. You ain't even got to go nowhere, and they still don't attend those. They still don't attend those. Yeah.
That's the problem with the community.
Okay.
We as people are followers. We are sheep.
Mm-hmm.
If our community ain't doing those things, we're not gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to build, in general speaking, we have to build a stronger community.
And how do you think we do that?
But like he said, back to the kids
in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask everybody a question. This is really good dialogue here. With all of these great ideas that we have, is the black community ready to go to war? Economically, physically, mentally, spiritually, with the people that she said no quickly. And why do you say no, my sister? Why you say no?
Because we too divided, one in religion.
Okay.
Because a lot of us been whitewashed. So that's gonna be our main problem right there.
So let's take an impacted group like the Hebrew Israelites as example, right?
Right.
These guys are on the corners. I've seen them. I've interacted with them in neighborhoods, and I'm respecting the fact that they're going out and trying to speak to people in a way that they're getting their attention. But what I don't understand is why are they not even united? They have, between all of those sects that they have, despite the indoctrinal differences that they have, which are minimal, why can't they come together as an entire Hebrew Israelite organization and say we're going to do we have the same goal in mind? So if I'm a Christian and someone's we all agree that black people is the primary agenda to help men and women, not our doctrinal, beliefs. And
the only religion like that is Jehovah's Witnesses. You can go to any country, any state, any city, and they are all on one accord. When it comes to anything outside of that, too divided.
So basically, we have religion, politics, and other subjects that divide us. So my question would be, with the solutions that people are offering, can we get the ground base level cemented before we start going to that direction? Like if we talk about making our people in this land uplifted, we're going to have to stop shopping at a Publix and Target and Walmart. If we're not going to farm and grow our own food, we've already lost we lost a famine war. So then you're going to have a group of people not going to hold it out, because the type of resistance we need to get that type of change, if we're going to be free of them in that way, we're going to have to do it across the board. And I just wonder, with the great solutions and strategies that are out there that many people provided, are we really ready to go to war for the long haul? Because this is not going to be a 1-year process. You know, we're talking about boycotting companies that continue to get free to minimal labor off of what we do and own our talents. And we get nothing back in return from what we're providing. We're entertainers, we're athletes, we're business people, but we own none of this stuff. We could be a rapper entrepreneur, but they own the labels. We could play for a basketball team, they own it. We could grow our own farm, but we still have to go to a certain type of company to have our vegetables and fruits go into their produce, like Publix, and we get a percentage. Until we start having ownership in a totality in many avenues, I wonder, can we survive the war more so than modern times?
You know who's a good start?
Who that?
Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
But
He
you know
owns
that's
all
what
that
Kanye West is doing right now.
Yeah.
People talk about him, people dog him out, but Kanye West have his own movement where he have brought so much property to make it black with his own money, where he don't owe nobody nothing, and his whole thing is to cultivate it and do the farmland. If y'all dig off into Kanye West and what he got going on, everybody talks so much stuff about him, but they're not seeing what he's trying to do because all they're doing is listening to what the media say. He's not the only celebrity that's doing it. I don't know too much about what Tyler Perry doing because he still got the white man in his pocket a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people that's doing it, but we need more people by the masses that's doing it and not scared or to go against the system. People scared. You see what happened to Bill Cosby when he tried to buy a television station?
NBC.
He had no problems in life, no accusation. But when he got enough money to afford to buy something of value, they arrest him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost back to saying whoever comes up in this world and going to go against the grain have to be all the way ready. Because if you did anything in your life wrong, they're coming after you. They're going to cut you down at your legs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because we haven't had a strong
be done
since in Martin Luther King. We haven't had strong, consistent leaders in a minute. Even though those leaders weren't perfect, we haven't had leaders that were as strong as they were in a long time. So if we had someone that was as strong and fit as they were, we would do a whole lot better, I believe.
But see, the thing is, though, if you remember back then, even when we had those strong leaders, we was all unified. This is before segregation, desegregation. Okay, so we were more unified back then. So the people now aren't unified. So it don't matter if you could go back in time and pluck Martin Luther King from back then and drop him in today's time, it wouldn't help. Even with a stronger leader as him or Malcolm X, because we are so divided that even with leaders that strong, it wouldn't do us no good. Okay, and we're not unified to follow a man of that stature. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. You was talking. My bad.
No, you good. Go ahead.
I heard a pause. I thought you was done. My apologies. No, you go ahead.
No, I'm finished. Go ahead.
So the interesting thing about leaders, and you guys let me know your in-depth analysis on this. Deion Sanders was a prime example of a popular leader in the football realm aspect when he went to Jackson State HBCU. Once he left and went to Colorado, people had their feelings about that, but he took a position that paid him more at a non-HBCU college. Now, what's interesting about that is, what are the alumni and the current residents of Jackson, Mississippi still doing to keep Jackson State momentum going? Because it's almost like Black and Americans are so accustomed to having leaders instead of collectively coming together to hold the fort down. Because at the end of the day, Jackson State got Deion Sanders for a temporary time. We knew that wasn't a permanent solution. Deion is too big of a brand name to stay in one place no matter where he goes. But Jackson State got more in 3 years than their entire existence when Deion got there. So that was an opportunity for that community and that alumni. Most of the people down in Deion for leaving do not even donate to the HBCUs financially, and they graduated from there. They don't. You like. In other words, when he went to Colorado, the black community, in large part, was so happy for Deion to break barriers, but they ignored James Franklin from Penn State, who's a black African-American coach, and his team was ranked in the top 10. We never celebrated the others collectively. We're so programmed to celebrate a leader, and if that leader gets taken out, we're going back to like, where do we go? Collectively, we have majority of the basketball players and football players making millions of dollars. What would happen if Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant said, I'm no longer going to suit up and I want to take this money and make our own league, like Ice Cube did with the 3-on-3 or N1 had back in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to figure out what would happen if we made minimal changes. We talk about how Asian communities have a Chinatown in every city. We could have a Black Wall Street in every city as well. But the millions of dollars that we have as athletes who are less than 1%, they have enough to combat and financially make their own business. But what's happening, they're tied to contracts with other people, and they can only go but so far because those people have control to open those doors. I think what the sister said earlier, we have to take a piece of the pie and go to them to finance this dream, and the future generations ahead will see it. She's spot on about that. Instead of us talking about the man, use the man's assets like he's using our talents, and we got to think long game. It's an investment. It's like buying a house. If you buy a house cash off the top, you have no mortgage to pay, right? But we don't have that kind of capital. We're economically behind everybody else, a lot of it due to slavery. But now that we have this resource, and as the brother pointed out, we have the biggest consumer spending, we have the money. Now we got to utilize it in a way that gives us that advantage to be able to get away each generation, each decade. So in 10 years, in 2033, we should be better than we are in 2023.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Oprah Winfrey, LeBron, Tyler Perry, Kanye West, P. Diddy, doing Jay-Z. Them right there alone have more money than the majority of people. Well, I ain't gonna say people, the majority of the Afro-American community as a whole. If you took them 6 people and put them together, they have more money than the rest of African-American people in the country. And they're visible. They have the ability and the power and the resources to be able to start things that we couldn't even fathom. If they wanted to start building, take a page from out of Dr. Umar Johnson, take a page out of his book, start up some schools. Now, LeBron do have a charter school, but it's not only us. It's also integrated. So, it's multiple cultures in that one school. But Dr. Umar Johnson was trying to build a school where it's only African-American people. Me personally, I don't understand how the school hasn't been built in 3-4 years. I don't understand why. How come he only need them at a couple $1 million? You know how easy it would have been for one of those people I just named out. Okay, here you go, and that would have been nothing, and that could have started right there. If he's willing to do the work, put in the legwork, the other people, if y'all just want to put it in the capital, that would be perfect for us. But like I said, when these people gain their wealth, the first thing they did, they gone. And look, and the black community is in the rearview mirror. They don't think about trying to uplift our community. Shit, they own yachts and doing this and doing that, living in gated communities and so on and so on. So of course, if we want to ever have some type of economic growth in our community, we got to unify and start helping each other. And it starts with the people at the top. Because a lot of people look up to these people to, I don't would consider them as being like real big leaders, but y'all have a platform to be able to start a change. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the biggest thing is we got too many people that are out here talking about similar, and we have very few people actually putting it into action with solutions. We've acknowledged for 400 years what the problems are. We know what they are in our community. The rest of when you meet other people from other cultures, you find yourself getting mentally drained having to explain to them about your racial experiences here that they seem to not understand. That's not our job no longer to educate these people. It's their job to be civil enough to understand we're not fighting just for black rights. We're fighting to be respected as a human being. Because when black people walk out into the street, there is a different negative connotation that comes with that nobody understands but us. Every time you go out at night, and let's just say, if you walk between houses to take the shortcut to go home, you got in the back of your head by default, or if a police officer pulls you over, you are mentally, by default, already in defense mode. You're thinking about stuff. Walking between houses is dangerous at this time and age, no matter who you are. But you having that coat of skin makes it a little bit more appealing to be in danger of someone else doing stuff, because we can have a cookout in the daytime and get the police call. We've seen many incidences of these things happen. So I think the biggest thing that we could start doing is having these discussions and giving it out to the people in our sphere and seeing how it impacts them. And those who it impacts that we don't know, that it reaches out to, that's great. That's a start. Not going to get everybody, because some people, like you said, their frequency right now, they wouldn't listen to this panel or this type of information. Instead, Atlanta Housewives is what they're thinking about. Or, I ask people all the time. I seen a lot of black people in the hip hop community get excited about the versus battles because of their childhood stigma of these rappers. But I've never seen them talk about a unity battle where they go against the corporate executives. Imagine if 3 6 Mafia and Bone Thugs came together instead of having a brawl on the show. Or Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy came together instead of bragging about killing somebody. What if they went against the corporate executives that have all of them bonded under contract? Mm-hmm. It would be amazing to see Suge Knight and Puff Daddy come together instead of having this animosity. So versus battles get more energy and positive attention, and then it's just entertainment until somebody gets killed. I don't see country artists have to do versus battles. I don't see country artists have to check in when they perform in any major city they want. They get money together. When the last time you seen a country artist battle each other? They make money in country music. It's a lot safer too. They ain't doing half of the stuff that rappers are doing. So I will hope that as a community, people, bro, it's a lot of things that we got to do. And I'm gonna keep it basic. We got to start rebranding ourselves. I did a video on this on my own channel, just how we greet each other. You know what I mean? Most of our last names are not our last names, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. We are inheriting a master's last name, the vast majority. So when we call each other the N-word, it's so common, repeated. What if we didn't call each other that and we call each other by our legal government first name only? Just as a habit to try something new, because it's resetting the mind. Remember Nintendo back in the day? We didn't have a memory card like PlayStation to save that data. We had to blow the cartridge sometime for that game to work. But when we reprogram it, it starts over, and we were able to pick up where we left off. That's what we got to do with ourselves. We got to start reprogramming our mental psyche, because we never received mental therapy as a community. You know what I mean? We got to start speaking positive. What if I just greeted you guys by your legal first government name and said good morning to you and said one nice thing about you? Hey, brother, I like what you got on. Hey, sis, I like what you're wearing today. How you feeling? And leave it at that. You know how that sounds versus what up, N-word? You understand what I'm saying? We know it's a greeting in our community, but it's the psyche energy behind it that's so silent. That word is interchangeable with a greeting or a negative condescending way, depending on someone's mood. But when I say good morning to you, Yeah, when I say good morning to you, it's hard to make that a negative, condescending way. You understand the energy frequency behind that is a warm greeting. So I think we just need to be cordial to one another a lot more on a basic level and start with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now,
and like we go back. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You had something to say. Go ahead. Well, like it was saying, if we definitely will have to reprogram the way we see things and the way we do things. So, in order for us to do so, we will have to be able to eliminate all the negative brainwashing, the stuff that conditions us. Our culture will 100% have to change because, like he said, the other races don't have to do the things that we have to do. Look at no other culture in this country is more toxic than ours. You don't see country people talking about FUB and all this stuff in their music, degrading the women and calling their women the B word and all this and so on and so on. You see no other race of music or anything else that does that outside of the Black community. Like now,
that all go back to our culture being stripped, and we've been dropped into the white man's land and deprogrammed and reprogrammed. So we talking about the modern people. We never had culture, so we can't continue to compare ourselves with other cultures when we don't have a culture. Because that's not an even battle. We're the only ones that have been truly oppressed. So we can't keep saying this culture that and that culture that. We got to first start out and build a culture. There's nothing to compare when there's nothing to compare it with. We don't have a culture. That's the problem.
We were just celebrating 50 years of hip hop. Now we're celebrating this, and I'm wondering why. Because hip hop right now is part of that negative culture that is conditioning our people. You know, it's not like it was when it first came out with the Sugar Hill Gang, with hip hop, the hippity hip, all that stuff. There ain't none of that no more. It is not that type of music. When gangster rap came in with like NWA and all of them, and out went the conscious rappers and all of those, the Fight the Power, ain't no more of that. Now it's when NWA came in, everything was going downhill from there. Because then here come the gangster rap, everybody shooting and deleting each other and all of this stuff, and then here come your Loops and your Too Shorts and your Snoop Dogs using the B word, degrading the women. But then it only got worse. Yeah, we did it for a long time. We did do it for a long time. The degrading and so on and so on. But the problem is when our women hopped into it, they've done 10 times worse than what we did with destroying the image of the Black woman. Because when you look at female rap today, we don't have to do it no more. We don't have to degrade. We don't have to do any of that. We have never done worse than a Sukihana, a Sexy Red, Ice Spice.
But y'all started it. Started it though.
Yeah, we did. But see, the thing is though, even back
as our leaders, that's something that you all should have not started.
Well, we can't go back and change the past. It is started, but even what we did is nothing compared to what it is today. What it is today. All of these female rappers now is nothing. That they destroy the image of the Black woman 10 times worse than any rapper of the past ever did. We used to say the bees and the hoes, and we used to have them dancing around on the stage.
All that came from a survival mechanism that was being pre-programmed into us from the music that was previous. But we got to figure out what it is to change it. We can point where it came from or where it started at or the reason why we're doing it. What are we going to do to change it?
And that's what we talked about earlier when we said we have people like yourself and all these other great men and women that are online today, and people who have these values and stuff instilled in them. What are we doing now to contribute to the community that we're in? Like, I'm going to different schools and I'm teaching life skills and certain skills and things like that kids need. But there's each of us can be doing something. Like he said, we can't look at one big person, one leader. We each have to do something. Like Chris said, he's doing with his family and his community. We all got to take our part, put our hands in the community, and do what we can do with our hands and our feet.
Right, because I work with the children at the school.
Conversations is not enough. We got to go out here and actually get our hands dirty and teach and do and be active, because this is not enough. There's more people that are spreading negative things more than anything. And it's like, too, you know, going back to the being the leaders being who they need to be, the men being who they need to be, the women being who they're supposed to be. We're supposed to be nurturing, teaching, and training. We need to get back to those things. We need to get back to focusing on that instead of all the other stuff that's going on, like trying to make money and build. We shouldn't have to be focused on that. That's what threw everything off. That threw everything off. Us trying to go out there and do other stuff. We can't even focus on our children. Our babies are lost out here because mothers are at freaking work all day doing men jobs. And they supposed to be taking care of their kids and teaching them and instilling these values in them.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed is with Black men and women, the missing link between the two when there's problems internally is no one talks about the indirect policies that were placed to purposely divide them and infiltrate them and keep them separated and fighting. Because if you look at it, back in the days in the 60s and 70s, Black men would work a lot at factories or farms. Very common. They would have jobs. The wife would stay at home and raise the kids. That's how life was back then. Now, when they start taking out technical skills outside of schools and started changing the curriculum, and then they started shutting down factories, and they allowed college education to be the priority. And you know, our parents always taught us to go to school. That's why, because they were taught that. The skilled jobs were becoming minimized during that time. And then they were being replaced with international trade slowly. You know, giving car jobs and mechanic jobs to people overseas, for example, right?
It was called deindustrialization.
Right. So when that happened, you also had a drug infiltration. You also had welfare program infiltration. And then that what resulted was they made rules that we fell for, not all of us, but enough of us to where it impacted us. If they said you can't have a man president in the house, some women would take that in exchange for money. And then some men would take that in exchange to not have responsibility. And both sides had individuals that unfortunately made bad decisions which impacted some families. The problem that I'm seeing on social media in 2023 is that we're not on game enough to know that some of these people creating the content are only doing this for clicks and views and not for the better education of the people. Like when I'm on TikTok, YouTube, I make videos countering these people bashing Black men or women that are Black, because I know that they're going to say something to get people divided because it draws money. So I feel like it's going to take a group of people to set the standard example. In other words, are we going to allow the narrative about us to define us? No. Or are we going to control the narrative and we're going to make our narrative how we do? If you look on TV and you don't see a lot of positive relationships together, that's not the place to go look for relationships. We can look at ourselves in our own spirit for relationships and create our own positive space. We don't need television to tell us how many of us are together or not. We create that. We control our narrative. We got to learn how to control the narrative. And the only way to do that is you got to understand who you are. You got to reprogram yourself. I challenge Black people all the time. Cut the TV off for 1 month and replace it with positive energy. Replace it with going out and speaking to 10 people you don't know and giving them a compliment. Don't worry about their reaction. This is about your mindset being programmed. If I go to 10 random people and say, "You look nice today, sister," thank you. She never had no one told her that in 2 years. I had a Black girl one time, just by me speaking to her and giving her a compliment one time, she broke down and cried. She said she never had that. Right? You don't know what people go through. We're the most traumatic people outside of Native Indigenous people on reservations. Us too. And ours is a bit traumatic in a different sense, slightly more than theirs because we were stolen from our land. For those of us that were never here. So in conclusion, I know y'all got stuff to say. I don't want us allowing media version of us to be our education. This group right here will never make it on Fox and CNN, right? So the fact that this group here, no one knows about it, doesn't mean that these small groups don't exist. Doesn't mean that people are not trying to find solutions. It just means that the media chooses not to show it. We can't let them be our education and our viewership. We have to control our narrative.
See, and like you said, see, you ain't, and these and panels like this talking about this topic right here, it's not going to get as many views as if we was on here talking about what happened in the celebrity news, what happened doing with Jeezy and Jeannie Mai, what happened with Jay-Z and all of these people. Now we were talking about stuff that that the average people are interested in. I would have a ton of views on a video like that. But when we're talking about actually protecting and try to advance the Black community, this video will probably get little to no views, little to none. But one thing I've always said that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take back our image. We're gonna have to take back our image, not just what you see here in the U.S., across the world. Because I've said it before, the people who are the most visible and the people who are most visible in this country we see online, they represent all of us. Like when I look at Chicago and Texas, Atlanta, when I see all the looting, the fighting, the violence, breaking and entering, they robbing stores and doing all this stuff. People see that. The internet is worldwide. So when people see that, they look at the men like, hey, we're all savages. We're all hoodlums. We're good for nothing but sagging our pants and toting guns and being belligerent and so on and so on. That is the image of the Black man. Even though all of us are not like that, none of the Black men on this panel anything like that. But when they see that on the internet, that's what they expect. I mean, that's what they see all of us as. So the people that are the most visible that they see around the world, and we wonder why when we get pulled over by the cops, the cops tend to look at us and hold on, let me put her back in. Hold on. Okay. That's why when we get pulled over by the cops are already okay, there we go. The cops are already on high alert because we have a history, and our image tells them that, hey, they may be they may have weapons in the car, they may have drugs in the car, they may be ready to do something, and I got to be on point. And a lot of times when you see a white cop pull up to a Black man, they usually have their hands on their holster. And they may not unholster it, but they are always ready because they're always prepared. Because what they see on television, we are dangerous and we're hoodlums, and they got to protect themselves. They're gonna make it home to their parents. I mean, not to their parents. They're gonna make it home to their family. So if it's between them and us, it's gonna be us. See, we already have a bad image that we need to rectify, but it's hard for us to do so when we have people the people that are the most visible doing the most egregious things. Now, until we can get our image back in order, they're gonna always see us that way. And that's, like I said, that started from way back when, in the 80s and so on and so on. With the crack epidemic, we was looked at as crackheads and fiends and all this other stuff. And then here comes the music. It was all positive at one time, then it became negative, and they were very visible. You can see them on the television, hear them on the radio when they started the gangster music. Then our image was all going downhill from there, and it's only gotten worse. So until we can get our image, until we can take control of our own image, people are always going to look down on us. They're going to always think that we are what they see on television. And the same thing with our women. until y'all can take back y'all image, the ones that are the most visible are the ones that everybody's going to see, and that's how they're going to judge y'all. So when they turn on the internet and they see the Sexy Reds and the Sukihanas talking about a lot of things, about a lot of sexual things, talk about what they do in the bedroom, what they like, and so on and so on. Do they represent all of y'all? No, they don't. But in the eyes of people who don't know all of y'all, the people who are the most visible, those are the ones that they're going to look at, and they're going to judge all of y'all the same way that they act.
Hey, Reggie.
If I can I say something here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, and it kind of goes back to the point I was making, and wise words you're speaking. The thing that gets me the most, we seem to be so concerned with fixing our image, which I agree with you. I'm not saying this in disagreement. I'm adding on to what you're saying because I agree with you. We definitely got to, repair that. But what's funny is the people that control this image are not us. We are just people who are the visible representation. So, for example, for the men, if you see us rioting and looting after a court case does not go our way, the same people that talk bad about our community are the same people that will riot and loot after a Super Bowl but get praised for it. If you look up the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl over New England, they tore traffic lights down and burnt up everything in Philadelphia. And nothing was said. These same people rioted the Capitol in January. Looked at as heroes. Nothing was said. So it's like the media likes to show two people doing the same thing, but one gets uplifted as, oh, they're heroes or they're celebrating, and the other gets looked at as rioting. The same thing with women. If sisters go out here in the Uncle Luke video and start shaking it, they looked at as twerking. But girls going wild, they're looked at as having fun and out of town, doing the same damn thing. So it's almost like we have to think bigger than the visible representation, because you're correct. We have to not choose to represent that visibly because we're giving them the ammunition to use their media that they control and give a message about us to the world. But at the same time, we have to hold the world accountable and ask them, why are you allowing a biased media to show one group of people doing the same exact thing in a positive light versus another doing it in a negative light? And then it gets to the point where we psychologically start telling our men and women, we need to stop doing this. But yet we're not even checking the person holding the camera. We're not checking the network company that owns the network and allowing that type of stuff. Let's ask ourselves, why did Arrested Development and Public Enemy get silenced or minimized, but they uplift a person like a Chief Keef?
That's
we might
why
support the product, but they're going to be the ones showing the media sensation. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. See, that's one of the reasons why we need our own. So we can't blame the outside people for our image if we don't have our own. If we want our image to change, we need to take control of it. So we need our own media. We need our own media to be able to put images out of positive things instead of all the negative stuff. So of course, if the outside forces want us to be looked at in a bad light, they're only gonna put out the negative images. I really do believe that people like Sukihana and Sexy Red and women like that are industry plants. They're put there for a reason to make us look bad, and they're gonna be promoted all over the place. So if we want that to change, we need to be the person behind the camera. We need to be the person with our own network. My Oprah Winfrey has her own network, and it's called OWN. But what is it doing to uplift us? What is it doing to help us in our image? Absolutely nothing. Like we almost don't own anything. BET is not even black anymore. It's not even black owned. We sold almost everything for money. I mean, it makes no sense. So until we can take pride in our own image and start building our own, coming up with our own networks, let us be the person behind the camera. And we be. Hold on, Chris, you in here twice. Well, either way. But anyway, until we're able to do that, I don't see anything else that's going to change. I really don't. Okay, there you go.
I agree with you because I think to me, like we're like even with Sukihana and them doing all that stuff, I don't look at her bad. I think it shouldn't be put out there like that. But I feel like we need to teach them. They don't know any better. It's okay for her to want to be a freak.
She don't know any better. She's a grown woman.
Okay, but I'm saying she don't. To me, because if a person know better, they do better. There's no way that she can't. Like, there's no way that she would be doing this. Like, she's doing this because of something else. But to me, if she was properly taught and talked to, and somebody,
you making excuses. You making excuses. Oh boy.
For me, as a black sister, I'm not finna down her. My thing is, you're overly exposing. As a woman, you can be sexy and be all that freaked out or whatever, but that's not something that you're supposed to expose and pour out to the world. That's not being a lady. That's nothing that's a private thing. Your sexuality, the things that you do, that's something that you do in a private. Nobody's supposed to know the kind of tricks you can turn in the bedroom. That's nobody's business except the person you in. So these like these kids who listen to it now and they're exposed to all this stuff now is because of what they're growing up in and the people that are raising them and grooming them and teaching them certain things. Like me, I love to have a good time and party, but there's certain parts of me that I'm not going to expose to everybody. That's not everybody's business what I do in certain times. That's not being a lady. So like we got to go back and teaching them and like even just the way we do each other. Like women should not be coming at each other the way that we do in certain things. Yes, we need to do better. Yes, we need to represent better and things like that. But we're not gonna get nowhere. It ain't gonna do nothing for our community if I'm down in Sukihana. All I need to do is use her as an example and let people see, where do you think this kind of situation, or what kind of woman is this to you? Is this the type of woman? Like, use it as something to teach the kids and the young people, but I'm not going to down her or talk about her, dog her out. I went to a hair school, and the whole time I was in hair school, all the black girls were mean, and they talked about saying that nobody's that nice and you're fake and you this and that. But here go all the white girls are all my friends and everybody's being nice. That's a perfect example of how we do each other when we don't have to do that. We don't have to down each other or keep talking about the black woman or the black man and stuff like that. Just be an example. These folks would not be doing that. They knew better. There's no way.
For me, it's not the music, it's the televising of the music, because we've been having ratchet music. It wasn't as explicit, but it was at the same time. It was just played after hours, after our bedtime. It wasn't publicized everywhere. So for me, it's not the music itself, it's the kids' access to it, because that's grown people music. So if you sit here letting your children, while you ride in the car and listen to it on the radio or watch the videos or anything, that's called parent control. So the problem is not the music. The problem is the parent control.
Mm-hmm.
So if parents controlled and they parented their kids, half the issues we are experiencing, everything go back to the home. Everything begins in the home. If we can get parents to parent, then we could change. I'm not going to blame no music on the reason why everything is that way, because my child phone is monitored. He can't get on no music site. He can't even get on the internet without sending me something, and I agree and I approve, and it has to be seen what he's going to get on. So it's a parenting problem. It's not a music problem. So I'm not going to say Sukihana this and Sukihana that. No, listen, go back all the way back in our parents' time, our great-grandparents' time. They sitting here detailing the stuff too. They just made it sound more appealing to the ear. But we couldn't get a hold to that music because they didn't play it around us like that. And when it came to videos and stuff, TV used to go off at a certain time. My baby TV still goes off at 8:30. He can't get back in his TV on the regular day unless I come access it. So we're not gonna put this on the music industry because it's not their job to parent our kids. We got to take that back to parenting. That's my take on far as the music
take it back
industry.
to the word. Take it back to the word, because the word says train your child in the way that they should go. Because even we have enough, like in our house, we could not even listen to secular music
At
and
all.
then we understood what Daddy was talking about when we reached, we couldn't listen to it. When we listened to it, we snuck and listened to it. We could not listen to secular music.
I only heard it when I went to my friend's house.
Yeah, we couldn't listen to secular music, but we snuck and listened to it.
Let me ask y'all a question real quick. Do you think the black community wants to get better? Do you really think they want better, or are they comfortable?
I think they want better, just don't know how to go about it.
So if they want better, and you have a panel like this, or you have that expo thing in Atlanta you were talking about, how come they don't attend those things or give these things views?
She stepped away. I think to me, I think that they think that it's already good.
So the reason I pose that question is, back in slave times, house slaves were comfortable. You know, I mean, there were some slaves in general that were comfortable with being on the plantation. They didn't want to escape. They thought they had it great because they was like, I don't want to risk losing my life. I'd rather just keep this. And then there was others who felt like,
yeah,
hey,
we were talking for an hour and 6 minutes.
What was your closing remarks,
I didn't know what exactly we were going to be talking about until now. I'm like, okay, this sounds like something Karen want to hop into. But I'll definitely call you for the next one.
Tremaine, you didn't mute yourself. Go ahead. What were you saying?
So when you had, different type of mentalities of slaves, you had ones that wanted to be free and who was willing to escape the plantation. Then you had others who said, I'm going to stay here because I'm comfortable. And I wonder, do people in the African diaspora in this land, do they truly want to be liberated from this form of oppression in different forms that we have here? Because oppression is not limited to being in chains or a police killing someone. Oppression could be a mental oppression. It could be an emotional oppression. And a lot of those chains that we still have today from our ancestors have not really properly been removed. So we're carrying on burdens. So I'm just wondering, do people really want to be free? Because if you have this panel, if you have that event in Atlanta, and you have other things similar to that, and they don't want to show it to it after you're telling them, I'm wondering, do they even really desire to be taking steps towards their own liberation for people?
For me,
it looks like that. No, I'm saying people in general in the community. It looks like they looks like they're comfortable with being comfortable.
Yeah, for me, I think people more so don't know how and are scared, because it seems like anytime we start to get the momentum of doing something good, it's snatched from up under us. So people are scared to go against the grain. I think if people truly had a soundproof way of knowing that it is going to change and things are going to get better, the response would definitely be different. But don't nobody want to go against the grain, and that's the problem. So I don't think it's that they don't want to. I think they don't know how to, and fear. And the people that are doing it just because they're comfortable, I think that's the minority.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry about that.
I think they like it. I think they think it's already good.
All right, Jermaine, go ahead and spit your closing argument.
Well, I kind of sorry about that. I didn't know I was still went on mute. I was trying to get somebody else to pop in, trying to get another guest, but they declined. So I'll get. They said they weren't feeling well, so I get them on the next go round. So I didn't hear a lot of what y'all was saying, so I don't even know what y'all was talking about to even respond to. I came in back on the last minute. Sorry about that. Well, one thing I always say when I'm closing my shows out, I always say, we are better together than we are apart. And we need to make our community great again, because it once was better than any other community in this country. We were. And we can get back to that. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of growth. And it's definitely going to take unity. And without that, I just don't see us ever getting anywhere if we don't come together to make it happen together. I really do believe that. We have to put down all the negativity. Turn, like Mike was saying earlier, turn the TVs off, put down the social media. Because if we put as much time into building our community as we do putting into social media and television and video games and nonsense, we could turn this around almost overnight. But it's a fight that we have to want to fight. We gotta want to be able to break generational curses. We gotta want our community to be great. We gotta stop trying to belittle each other. We gotta stop looking down on each other. Stop being envious and things of that nature. So until we're able to do all of that, I just don't see no change. I just don't see no surviving if we can't do all of those things I just named. All right, well, that's it. I mean, that's all I have. So anybody else want to give their closing arguments?
I just want to say good points on everybody's side. Everybody gave some real good points.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak real quick before we wrap it up? Because we are an hour and 11 minutes in. I was trying to keep it to about an hour, but the conversation was getting so good. I really didn't want to stop, but it is getting. I do try to keep it somewhere around an hour. So
yeah.
Yolanda, anybody want to say anything before we close out?
I just want to say that hopefully that we just get our mindsets together and get become more positive about our outlook on the community and each other as individuals. And I think that would be a great start to make some changes. That's it.
Okay. All right. What about Candy or Mike?
I just want to say that Black community is common unity. We got to unify. Mm-hmm. Until we learn how to unify, we're going to struggle and move at a slower rate. Because as a unit, and if we walk in one accord, we move quicker. We're going to get there, but it's just going to take time until we unify.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, Mike.
Hey, I appreciate everybody taking time out of the evening to give out, valuable information. I encourage, if anybody watching this, when we post it, I encourage people to look into ownership in real estate so you can start building generational wealth. If you're currently renting, try your best to kind of get yourself in a situation of owning something and rent out a house at some point in your life and generate real estate income. Real estate is a great tool and asset and a vehicle to build generational wealth.
Okay. And you're right. All right.
Well, also, another thing we need to think of in the Black community is life insurance. Get those life insurance policies because that money is very essential. And if you realize in any other culture, they get them life insurance policy and leave their kids with something to sit on, and at the same time still teach that financial literacy, because you don't want them to get that type of money and spend it up. For me, I got a $2 million policy. So if something happens to me, my children are set. We got to talk about that type of stuff.
Oh, most definitely. Because the only thing we leave our people in the community, when we pass, the only thing we leave is debt.
And people be doing a GoFundMe. If you have insurance, you don't need a GoFundMe.
Right. And life insurance is cheap. Especially the younger you are and the healthier you are, life insurance is cheap. You can get a policy with doing $10, $15, $20 a month, especially if you're in good health. If you're young and in good health, it's not that expensive. But the older you get and And if you're drinking and smoking and doing all this other stuff and you're in bad health, it's going to be expensive. And most people don't want to spend the money. I don't understand why, but most people don't. But it has been a great conversation. We definitely need to do this again, because I still have a lot of stuff I would love to talk about on topics like this. So I will definitely get up with y'all another time, and we will have another panel and have another great topic and have some more great discussions. So I appreciate everyone for coming out. We're going to go ahead and end the show right here. So and like I said earlier, like I always say, we are better together than we are apart. Let's make our community great again. So with that, I do bid y'all adieu. Thank y'all.